Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. My name's Jack, this is Jthbooks, and it is time for some Pride Month book recommendations. Happy Pride Month, everybody. I did this video last year, and I'm going to link it down below. But I have to say, it's one of my sort of most viewed videos. Still not very many views, but it's one of my most viewed, and it's just terribly done. No wonder people don't subscribe. It's like terribly done, but that I don't give up. We're coming back for another one. We're coming back for another one. So stick around because these are new books. Well, there might be one repeat. But they're new books. They're new books for you to read this Pride Month. We're going to discuss what comes out this month or just come out in May, you know, because one of them came out 5 days before Pride Month. I thought I'm going to include that. Now, also, I have not read all of these books. They are... Obviously, I own them, so I want to read them. But I always figure, just because I haven't read them, you might hear about them from this video or see them for the first time, and you'll want to read them. And if you found a new book, even though I haven't read it, I think that's fantastic. That's exactly what we want. So there will be some that I haven't read, and obviously, I do plan to read them. Obviously, we, especially on this channel here, me, hello, we try and read queer books all year round. We obviously... You know, I'm not saying every book I read is exclusively queer, but the majority are. And obviously I'm a gay man. I tend to gravitate towards those books because we're always trying to see ourselves, aren't we? Try and find ourselves and relate. But we try and read diversely and from every aspect of this community. So that's what you're going to see in this video. You're going to see a wide spectrum. So, you know, get excited. I keep saying so. That's going to be annoying. We're trying not to do that anymore. Pride Month, it's the best time to support some queer bookshops. I love queer bookshops. You've seen on this channel many times. When I go to London, where do I go? Gaze the word. Apart from that one time it's closed. And I just waited outside and it was closed. But other than that, we have Gaze the Word. You have Queer Lit. You have Portal Bookshops. You have the Gay Pride Shop. You have the Bookish Type. You have one in Edinburgh. Something that I can't remember. But they will all be linked down below. They will all be linked down below. They were last time. If you want to treat yourself to a book this month, why not support an independent queer business? It's the best way. I try and buy for them all year round, and yeah, they're fantastic places. So they will all be linked down below the shops. Now, obviously, this is just a small selection, you know, of the ones I have and the ones I'm interested in. But there are so many queer books out there. There are so many coming out in June. I think there's like 130. I've got like 7. So if you want to go exploring, you can go look at the pre-orders coming out on the queer bookshop list. There's lists on the internet. There are fantastic resources. So if you want to do that, but these are just some physical copies that I have that we're just going to breeze and browse through. Now this video is going to be split into sections. I've decided to split it into sections. So we're going to have the ones that come out in Pride Month or have just come out. We're going to have some non-fiction. We're going to have queer books that I just absolutely love. We're going to have some YA books. We might have a few middle grade books and just some books that sort of made me laugh and made me smile and made me happy. So we're going to go like that. I think it might be a bit of a long video. So, you know, buckle up, sit down, get a snack, get a cup of tea. Friends, I can't lie to you. This isn't tea. I don't drink tea. I don't drink coffee. There's 7-Up in here. But whatever gets you through the day. So let's have a swig and talk about these books. So we're going to start with the queer books that are coming out in June. It's June, it's Pride Month. Have I mentioned that? Would I have to mention that about 27 more times? Yes, and I'm sorry. So, well, the first one up is Wild Things by Laura Kay. Now, great start. This actually came out in May and I haven't read it yet. But it came out like 5 days before. That's what I was talking about. But this is a sapphic, 2 best friends, 1 huge secret, a year that could change everything. I was very lucky to be sent this. I am looking forward to reading it. You're going to see another Laura Kay book in this later. So let's find out what it's about and see if it tickles your fancy. Elle Evans is stuck in a dead-end job. Hopelessly unrequited love. Oh, I got it wrong. Elle Evans is stuck in a dead-end job, hopelessly in unrequited love with her best friend Ray and in need of a major life change. With her New Year's resolution to be more wild, Elle is soon in possession of 1 small tattoo, 1 bad hangover, and memories of 1 very disappointing threesome. But she's trying, and surely it can only get better. When an opportunity arises for Elle, Ray and their 2 closest friends, newly heartbroken Will and Instagram darling Jamie, to ditch the big city and move out to a ramshackle house in the countryside, Elle can hardly say no. This is her big chance for a fresh start, the ultimate wild thing. It just... Sapphic rom-com. What more do you want? What more do you want? I'm so excited to read this. Like I said, it's out now. You can pre-order it from you can get it from those queer bookshops. And I'm so excited to read this one. You are going to hear me say that a lot, aren't you? I'm so excited. But just know that your boy's excited. We also have And Then He Sang a Lullaby by Ane Kyori Sam Tuchikawu. And this is about August and Saigon in Nigeria. And Saigon is a very effeminate boy and sort of can't hide his sexuality. And then August is a very sort of straight presenting person, and he's sort of discovering his sexuality and who he is. And when he meets Saigon, they sort of fall madly in love. I have read this one. It comes out 8th of June. I think there is some brilliant Nigerian queer fiction out there. You are going to see some more in this video. This one wasn't my favourite, I'll be honest. I think it gets a little bit lost along the way, but it is a queer book. It is it has some really beautiful moments. Like I said, I think it just gets a bit lost along the way, but it focuses on the political structure in Nigeria and what it's like to be gay in Nigeria. And although it's sort of sold as a love story, I think it more focuses on those aspects, and I think they are fantastic. So if this sounds interesting to you, I would highly recommend pick it up. Also out this month is Sunburn. By Chloe Michelle Howarth. Now, this is a story of Lucy, who's living in a small town in Ireland, and everyone sort of expects her to grow up and marry her best friend Martin, and everyone sort of assumes they're already in love, but she's actually in love with this girl called Susanna. This is a sapphic book, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant. It's so beautifully written. It is so honest and so heartfelt. I'm sort of was blown away by it, really. I absolutely adored this book. It is out June 22nd. I cannot recommend this to you enough. I am so surprised at how much I loved it. Probably notice I'm not going into massive detail about each book because I've got a lot of books to get through, and I don't want you sitting here for like 12 hours just fed up of me. Could you ever be fed up of me, friends? Don't answer that. We also have I Like Me Better by Robbie Webber. Now, this is out in the United States. All these dates are UK dates. I live in the United Kingdom, so they are. And this comes out in June in the United Kingdom, so I figured I'd give it a mention. This is about Zach, who takes the fall for a prank and has to do community service. He ends up doing it in a Marine Institute, and a romance ensues. Like any YA, it's very sweet. It's got a great message. I think it could have gone the YA section coming up, couldn't it? Oh well. But yeah, it's a really, really sweet book. It's just sort of light-hearted and fun, but it's got a great message about the environment. Aren't queer books so just full of everything? That's what they're good at, just full of everything. But this comes out in June. I wish I could tell you the date. I think it's June the 8th. I think a lot of these are June the 8th, but... We have The Late Americans by Brandon Taylor. Again, already out in the US, but comes out the 22nd of June in the UK, so it's going to be featured. Brandon Taylor, very prominent writer, wrote Filthy Animals and another one, The Real Life. The Book of Prize Shortlisted. How can I sort of forget that one? This is just sort of a group of characters who are discovering their queerness and how it relates to them, and they're just making sort of these life decisions while they're in college and figuring out who they are. It's very Brandon Taylor-esque, you know, it's very real, it's very character-driven, not much plot. It's very sort of sexual in terms of you discovering who you are through the sex. It's a brilliant read. When I was into it, I was really, really into it. So again, out in June, get on those queer bookshop websites. We have Mrs. S by Kay Patrick. This comes out on the 8th of June. I told you, the 8th. Whew. Brilliant. It's just brilliant. In this, we follow a young woman who has come over from Australia, and she is now a matron at sort of this elite boarding school, and she begins an affair with the headmaster's wife. It's just brilliant. The writing style is absolutely phenomenal. It's sharp and it's static, yet somehow electric. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's one of my favourite books of the year. When I have to film that top 10 video, it's going to be in there. And for a debut, it is so unbelievably strong. Unbelievably strong. Kay Patrick knows how to write. They know their style of writing, and it's just phenomenal. It's out on the 8th of June. So that's it. That's the ones that I have coming out this month. Again, there are so many more. There are lists on the internet. If I can find a list, I will link it down below. But I'm so excited for them. So let's now go on to non-fiction books. So first up, we have In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machudo. Now, I cannot believe I didn't include this last time because I'd read it. I don't know why I didn't include it. It is one of the best books I've ever read. In this, we follow Carmen, who was in an abusive, manipulative relationship, and we follow her getting into it happening and getting out of it. But it's told in sort of a very vignette style. It is... And it also gives you a chance, like, if you agree with this, then turn to page 112. If you don't, go to page 115. It's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. By far one of the best books I have ever read. I've not met anyone who hasn't loved it. Non-fiction at its top tier. We also have 365 Gays of the Year by Lewis Laney. Now, he kindly sent me this himself. And what this is... It's got some beautiful illustrations in, and it is a gay person, well, a queer person of the community for every day of the year. On April the 6th, we have Susie Ruffle. On September 17th, we have Jacqueline Wilson. This is the perfect book for Pride. If you're looking for a gift to give someone, perfect. It's queer history, it's queer lives, and it will last you not just Pride Month, all the year. I'm so excited. I am very excited. And it's +1 for a leap year. So if it's a leap year, you're not going to miss out. You're getting your money's worth. I think you can just dip in and out of it. You can either follow it day to day, or you can say, oh, I wonder what happened on April 6th. So I just think this is a brilliant selection to have in here. We also have A Trans Man Walks Into a Gay Bar by Harry Nicholas. Now, this came out in May, and it is Harry's story. It's very personal. It's very funny. It's very sexy. It's like just a good friend talking to you and telling you about their situation. It's just about Harry coming out as trans and being a gay man as a trans and what it's like to go into queer spaces as a person. It's just, I absolutely loved it. It's phenomenal. We also have All Darkness Down Wide by Sean Hewitt. Now, this is a memoir of sort of Sean growing up, realising he's gay, and then sort of falling for his first big love and his big love stories, and when that partner starts to suffer with depression. It's so beautifully written. Sean also has a few poetry collections, and you can absolutely tell he's a poet. It's so lyrical, it's so beautiful, but it's really sad, and it's just brilliant. It was in my top 10 books of the year last year. How often does a non-fiction get in there? But it did. Just, if you're looking for a really personal non-fiction book, I recommend this one to you. We also have Differences Born on the Lips, Reflections on Society, Stigma and Sexuality by Michael Handrick. I know I read them in the wrong order, if you can see that, but I remembered them, so I'm impressed. This is another memoir, and it's about Michael growing up, realising he's queer and growing up in a council estate. That was very difficult to deal with. And then it talks about him being in an abusive relationship. And it's just got that thing that I love in non-fiction books where it really perfectly balances the personal with like the facts and figures. I love that. When it gets it right, and Michael gets it right. I'm very excited to read more from this author, and I just thought this book was really phenomenal. I loved it. We also have This Arab is Queer, edited by Elias Jashan. Now, this is Muslim queer writers writing their stories and essays, and I think there's like 18 writers in here. It is an absolutely phenomenal bunch. Now, I know sometimes when you get books like this, there's a few that don't hit. For me, these all were brilliant. I loved every single one. It was brilliant. I can't imagine it not being in my top 10 of books of the year so far. I absolutely adored this. And again, it's about reading diversely and reading people's stories. I mean, that's how we grow as a community, and I think non-fiction does that really, really well. Of course, fiction does too. You can empathise, but just read diversely, people. Let's just keep trying. See, I told you there were some brilliant non-fiction books, and there's so many more. I can see them all behind me. There's so many more, but we'll move on to some more books now. So now we're going to go into some middle grade books. I haven't got many. There's only 4 here. It's a very new thing for me, and I've only read one of them too, but one of them does come out in June, in Pride Month. So let's start with that. First up, we have Just Like Everyone Else by Sarah Haggart Holt. Now, I actually won this in a giveaway, and it's coming out 8th of June. All these books coming out 8th of June. So when this goes up, you'll have a couple of days. You can get your pre-orders in, and they'll be there like that. You'll be like, what a nice surprise. I forgot I pre-ordered these, 3 days ago. But very, very excited for this one. It is about Aidan, who is 13-year-old and can't breathe in his crowded family home. Running is his only respite from 4 loud sisters and involved touchy-feely parents. Then his mum makes an announcement. She's having another baby. Only this time, it's not for her. She will be a surrogate for gay couple Justin and Atif. Aidan's incensed, as his family wasn't embarrassing or big enough already. But he's also scared. Aidan thinks he might be gay, and he's really struggling to accept this possibility. He's definitely not ready to come out, but what if being around Justin Atif exposes him? If only he were just like everyone else. We all know what that feeling was like when we were 13 years old. I wish I had a book like this when I was 13 years old that just helped me see things a little clearer, or there was somebody like me, or didn't have to hide it and cry and all that stuff. So I just think if you're a parent watching this and you want to broaden your kids' horizons, or just give a gift to a good book to a kid, let's go for it. Or if you're a kid watching this, here's this for you. We have Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow by Benjamin Dean. Now this is about Archie, whose parents have split up and he's not sure why, and then in his dad's pocket he finds a leaflet for the Pride Parade, and he thinks his dad's going to be there, so he and his 2 best friends, they go on this big adventure to the Pride Parade to support his dad. It's so lovely. I mean, it's such a lovely premise. It's so beautifully written by Ben. I adored this book. I mean, I'm in my 30s and I love this book. And it's just got such a great message. Again, for the kids, for anyone. You don't have to be a kid to read them, but I absolutely love this one. And then also by Benjamin Dean, we have The Sunshine Project, which is about Bea, whose older sister likes girls, and they had a fantastic day at Pride, but then they moved to the countryside and it all starts to go a bit wrong, and Bea decides to try and cheer up her sister. I mean, so heartfelt. I think they just have a great message for kids. I know I keep saying it, but they do. And I'm hoping to read this one really, really soon. And just look at the sprayed edges. What more do you need for Pride Month than these beautiful sprayed edges? We also have Small Town Pride by Phil Stamper. Now this is about Jake, who is 13 years old. He's come out as gay. He's fully accepted, and his dad puts up a massive pride flag, and they get a few complaints. So what does Jake do? He decides to hold a pride festival. Again, it's so brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. I cannot wait to read this one. It's just the middle grades, they know what they're doing. And again, this is such a small selection of middle grade. I know it is, but I just wanted to highlight a few just in case you want to dip your toe in. And I think these could be fantastic ones for you to start. That's what I'm doing. And just check them out if you want to. So now we're going to go on to the books that I have read recently and I just absolutely love. I absolutely just thought they were brilliant pieces of fiction, and I just want to recommend them to you. First up, we have In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. Now, this is probably my favourite book of the year so far. It's just stunning. You follow these 2 boys in boarding school who are best friends, but basically love each other. They haven't quite figured it out yet, or one has, one hasn't. But we know, and we follow them then as they go fight in World War One. So again, if you love historical fiction, this is one for you. But it is so stunning. It really sort of puts love so simply and beautifully and plainly, and then it just has this juxtaposition of the brutality and the horrificness of war. It just, for me, worked on every level. It just was the book that really captured me this year, and I think it's been a bestseller. I'm sure so many people have heard this one, but if you haven't checked it out, please do. Now, this book, I cannot believe I didn't mention it in my first video, because it is absolutely one of my favourite books of all times. It is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. It's one of the best things I've ever read. In this, we follow Isaiah and Samuel. They are 2 enslaved men in the deep south on a plantation, and they're just in love. And it's very much them being queer before it had a word almost. Like, no one knew what to call it. They just knew what they were special to each other. And then you meet all these other characters through their opinion of the boys' love. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best things I've ever read. I cannot believe could have told you this a year ago and so many of you could have read it. I'm sorry, I let you all down. I absolutely let you all down, but absolute knockout, 10 out of 10. Brilliant, pure brilliance. We also have Godchildren's A Little Broken Things by Arinzi and Farkandu. Now this is a short story collection, and it's One of my favourite books of last year, 5 out of 5. Every story absolutely smashes it for me. Again, this is another one of those Nigerian fictions I was talking about, one of these queer Nigerian fictions out there that are just so exciting to me, and they're all just so brilliant. There's going to be another one in the Books of Love. That's how good. But this recently won the Dylan Thomas Prize. It's just brilliant. I know I keep using that word, but if you haven't checked this one out, please do. We have Detransition Baby by Tori Peters, and this one I've read recently. Again, it's going to be in my top 10 books of the year. The things it says about transness and what it means to be desired as trans and to desire as trans is absolutely phenomenal. And it just has those queer found family aspects. And just what a stunning, stunning book. We also have Memorial by Brian Washington. Now, this is a story of a relationship sort of coming to an end, but we're not quite sure if it does. And the way Brian writes these characters that just have their own style, and he gives them so much depth, and you can tell you're reading through his style of writing. It's brilliant. I just absolutely adored this book. I loved the ending. I loved how open it was, and I feel like it might have flown under the radar a little bit about this one. So if you're looking for something, please check this one out. We also have Frontier by Grace Curtis. This is a sci-fi book. This one absolutely took me by surprise. I didn't expect to love it as much, but I sort of can't stop thinking about it. In this, you follow a character who is stranded on Earth, and she's trying to get back to her love. It's full of longing, and you never quite know who the character is because every person she meets calls them a different thing, and it's not too heavy on the sci-fi. Sometimes I really struggle with that, but this is sort of sci-fi light. I just thought it was brilliant. This is one that keeps playing in my mind, and I just loved how Grace Curtis handled this book and then gave us the sapphic-ness that we want at the end. I just loved it. I really did. We have What Belongs to You by Garth Greenwell. This is a short book, but my goodness, does Garth pack a lot in it. It's so beautifully written. It just somehow speaks so much about connection, but also loneliness, and the loneliness in connection. I haven't read anything like it, and I absolutely adored this. We also have Vagabonds by Ella Gusea Sunday. Now, just writing that, it made me weep. All of these books, by the way, in the section of love, have made me cry. That's how you know I really love a book, although I am a crier. But so again, this is another Nigerian queer fiction. I told you there's some brilliant Nigerian queer fiction out there. Please check them out. And this is just full of the spirit of Nigeria and the spirit of Lagos, and these characters that sort of connect in a way, and it's told by the spirit of Lagos. It's just phenomenal. And again, this one was mentioned last time, but Here Again Now by Ukachukwu Nzalu. Just read it. I love it. It's one of my favourite books of all time. Just read it. I won't go because I've talked about it before. Sorry. So now we're going to go into the young adult, the YA section. And first up we have, and I'm only going to speak about these really quickly because most people have read them, but Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. That's what I'm going to say. They're as good as everyone says they are. I didn't think they would be, but they really, really, really are. So Heartstopper, just check them out. We also have The Passing Playbook by Isaac Fitzsimmons. Now, this is about Spencer, who is trans, and when he goes to a new school, no one knows he's trans. And after a law comes in, he can no longer play on the soccer team, and he has to decide whether he wants to fight for his place or cheer on his teams for the sidelines. Now, this is a great sort of exploration of transness for a young adult audience. It looks into it in a way that is sort of just really heartfelt and brilliant, and I really adored this book. We also have Fake Dates and Mooncakes by Shirley. I haven't read this one yet, but it might be my most anticipated book of this year. It came out just before Pride Month, and I'm just so excited to read this. I'm so excited to read this, so I just had to mention it. I had to mention it to you all. We have Lose You to Find Me by Eric J. Brown. Probably my favourite YA I've read so far this year. It was definitely a little bit older, a bit of the older teen vibes, but I absolutely adored it. It explores grief and cooking, and it makes a smart choice for teenagers. I think it doesn't go down the route you think it's going to go, and that's what I really liked about it. So I just think this is a really good book for teens to read. We have Imogen, obviously, by Becky Albertelli. Now, I know this says Jack, obviously, but I got a very special personalised proof copy. And this is about Imogen, who is so immersed in queer culture that when she begins to question her sexuality and being bisexual, she's doesn't even believe it herself, and when her friends don't believe it. And it's a really important look at the difference and the acceptance from the queer community itself, and that you're not owed a queer journey of anyone or their queer story or their coming out. And I think this is a very important book for teens, adults to read. So read it, okay? Lastly, we have The Feeling of Falling in Love by Mason Diva. Now, I've chosen this one because it has brilliant trans representation in, but it also has sort of the love interest begins to question their gender and their pronouns. And I think, obviously, that's such a huge topic. Just so you know, tell me your pronouns. I'll stick to them. That's it. That's it. I accept you for who you are. That's it. That's it for me. But I know it's a big issue for some fools. And so I think this really explains it really brilliantly, and would just see the human side of it. Forget the pronouns. They're just people telling you who they are. But yeah, so you can see I'm quite passionate about it. But in this book, it deals with it well. So now we're going to talk about some queer books that have just made me smile and be filled with joy. First up, we have Still Life by Sarah Winman. This is an absolutely brilliant novel. It's got brilliant characters. It's got that found family. It's got the queerness more comes at the end, I will say that. But when it's there and it's strong. And I absolutely adored this book. I own like 3 copies of it. And it's just stunning. It really, really is. It could have been in the books I've read recently that I loved, but it just makes me smile. It's one of those books that makes me smile when I think of it after I've read it. So what more compliment could you want for a book? And Sarah's writing is phenomenal. We had Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out by Ryan Love. This is such a sweet story. It's got an older perspective of an older queer man coming out. Now, when do you read about that? It's really heartfelt and it's really sweet, and it's all about first love and being true to who you are. And it will just make you smile. It's such a sweet, sweet book. Then we had The Split by Laura Kay. I told you she'd be back. This was just so uplifting. It just sort of feels like it gives you back those moments that you missed out on a queer person as a kid if you weren't out. I know some queer kids get them, but I didn't. And it's got cats in it. We love cats, right? But I just really, really enjoyed this one. And, you know, give me the sapphic rom-coms. Just do it, please. Okay, thanks. Then we have First Time for Everything by Henry Fry. This absolutely made me laugh. It's got such silly moments in it, but a really sort of heartfelt story. But it's just a character on a queer journey coming to know themselves and accepting their queerness, which I absolutely love. And it's just, like it says in the back, it gives every, queer best friend in the rom-coms their own story. And Henry's writing will just make you smile. And lastly, we have Sounds Like Fun by Brian Moriarty. One I read earlier this year. It's just a look at queer relationships and sort of a queer slice of life, really, and a queer man really figuring out what he wants. And it's got these really funny moments and really sweet moments, and it's all about love. And I really love this book. And also, just quickly, if you're looking to support independent queer book publishers, I have a few just quickly to mention. We have Incandescent Press. They're a queer publishers. I absolutely adore their book. We have Tiny Ghost Press, that is very YA orientated. So if you're looking for queer independent YA books, here we go. And we have Cypher Press, which are bringing out some absolutely brilliant books. So that's it. I know it's been a long video. I'm really sorry about that. But I wanted to try and really mention a lot of books to you so that you can have something to read this Pride Month. If you see one you love on this list, let me know. If you end up buying one from the recommendation you love it, let me know. Like I said, all the queer bookshops will be linked down below. So will part 1, but like I said, it's not very good. If you give it a thumbs up, that would mean the world to me. Apparently, they're very important. I didn't know that, but apparently they're very important. Feel free to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I really thank you so much for watching. Remember to read queer books all year round if you can. And be kind, be accepting. That's all people need to be accepted. And I'm going to speak to you all really, really soon.